So earlier this year, I made a trek through a mountain pass that was pretty sketchy. It was really windy and I was really scared, and we made it, but I felt like I learned a lot through the experience, and I kind of thought to myself, wow, they used to do this with oxen and covered wagons, and it would take months for them. And I kind of held that in my subconscious mind for a while, thinking how lucky I was to have the upgraded version of that with my truck and my trailer, right? So, interestingly enough, I was noticing that there was a lot of things named after Donner. Donner Lake, Donner Pass, the Donner Party. And I didn't really know much about it. Even though, I'm born and raised, I kind of decided to do some research. Even this older gentleman that I had a short conversation with was like, hey, the library has a lot of information on the Donner Party. And I was like, okay, the universe is sending me keys and I'm going to go get them. So I did some research and learned a lot about this historical, horrific, really, this is like a horrific tale of people's survival, and it has to do with cannibalism. So it is sensationalized, I feel. Kind of felt sad that we feel the need to name so many things after them because I don't know, I guess that's just what we do. We find ignorance and we put it on a pedestal, and we got to learn from these people. Maybe that's why their name is all over the place, because we really got to learn from these mistakes. And I did. So I would like to share with you 3 points of interest that I did learn from this Donner Party. And the first being elitist entitlement. Now, in my research, I found that a lot of authors were saying that the Donners were very wealthy, they had a lot of resources and status, and they really went into their westward expansion with this entitlement. And I feel like that's just like a human tendency to just want to own stuff. When we go into situations ungrounded and we're not really rooted in our humbleness, unfortunately, we can set ourselves up for the universe to just come through and give us just that humble pie. Our egos can only inflate so big until spirit's like, no, I need you to have a reality check. It's much safer, and you become more grounded and more connected to the earth when you begin to humble yourself. It's like that notion of not knowing everything. It's good to know that you don't know, right? So speaking of that, number two is signs and synchronicities. There were so many signs that these folks got, and they were deterred away from them. They didn't look at the synchronicities. They had information given to them that they didn't heed, and they were also given opportunities to really kind of change their position, and they decided not to. So when you become rigid and you do not respect the synchronicities, you don't respect the signs, the information, because the universe is kind, like in the way that I do feel we get direction. If we really ask for it and look for it, we'll be given signs. But it's really up to us to take right action. And that's what they did not do. They went against basically what spirit was showing them. And that leads me to number three is honoring of the sacred. Even though it was like survival mode for them, I do know that not all of these people were moving into these areas to degrade the earth. They wanted to have a prosperous life. They wanted to serve the earth. They wanted to come into this sacredness. of what California stood for at that time. Now, unfortunately, there were some people that were not in that level of consciousness. They went basically opposite to that and wanted to go into just get whatever they could from the sacred, whatever they could log, whatever they could mine, whatever, they could unearth, take away. So, one of the biggest things I've learned from these pioneers is to know your place and to really honor the sacred, because we're not always welcome or invited into areas. And if we find ourselves crossing those boundaries, there's going to be consequences. And I think my chicken is in agreement with that. And, we all learn. I've had to learn these lessons, and sometimes we learn the hard way.